Thanks for joining me to take a brief look at our shift to Elpa 21 from WIDA Standards and Assessments. You will receive this PowerPoint, so if we move too fast, you can always go back and look at it. What we want to cover is why the change, the dates for the rollout of how we will get to know these standards and assessments better, the 10 main Elpa 21 standards, the Elpa 21 dynamic screener, why it's called a dynamic screener, the Elpa 21 summative assessment, which replaces our WIDA access that we do every year, and then the key district impacts. So first, why the change? Well, this change actually comes from the Tennessee Department of Education. The contract with WIDA was ending, so they were able to take a look at other vendors for this, and Elpa 21 offered things that WIDA didn't, specifically features for our special education students. There will now be an alternative screener for those students and an exemption of a domain when the disability prevents participation. And we'll talk about that a little more when we get to information about the assessments. Here are the key dates where we're going to learn together about Elpa 21. First, you're getting this PowerPoint today, and there is a link there for you to sign off that you've viewed it as an ESL teacher and to leave any questions, because I'm sure some of this will generate more questions that you have. There will also be a QR code at the end of this presentation for you to scan and sign off and enter any questions that you have. On May 16th, 2 of our district leaders will go to the State Department for more intense training, and they will re-deliver that training on May 21st to one lead ESL teacher. We will be meeting at the Smyrna PD Center from 8 to 3, and then that one lead teacher can take back the foundational information they learned to their team via email or a quick meeting to share that before the end of the school year. Then this summer, there are going to be 4 options for 6-hour virtual trainings, and these will be conducted by Elpa 21. And you get to choose one of these. It's 2 days, 3 hours on each day for a total of 6 hours. And you can see there will be different times in the day, hopefully to give you some flexibility that you can pick a time that works for you, because when we come back together on August 2nd, all the ESL teachers will be together. We will hit the ground running, and it is very important that you already have knowledge about Elpa 21 standards and assessments before that August 2nd day. I love to spend the entire day just on Elpa 21, but we will not have time because we have so much going on in our ESL department. So again, take a look at those dates. You will be able to register for those in Performance Matters starting on May 17th. And again, you can choose the one that works best for your schedule. And this is typical when when our content departments get new standards, get a new textbook, they have required trainings to do over the summer that will count toward their PD credit. ESL will actually have a 6-hour focus area that will be fulfilled by completing one of these virtual summer trainings. Again, we'll touch base again on the August 2nd district pool day. And then I hope to offer more in-depth trainings in the fall from Elpa 21 as we continue to grow with our knowledge. Let's jump right into the standards. Elpa 21 has 10 key standards, and I won't read these to you, but something I want to point out is standards 1 through 7. If you look on the right side, it says standards 1 through 7 involve the language necessary for ELLs to engage in the central content-specific practices associated with ELA literacy, mathematics, and science. They begin with a focus on extraction of meaning and then progress to engagement in these practices. So the first 7 standards are really about our English learners being successful in their content classes. And then standards 8 through 10 hone in on some of the more micro-level linguistic features that are undoubtedly important to focus on, but only in the service of the other 7 standards. And you can see those are a little more about grammatical things they need to know. But again, it's to support the other 7 that are supporting the language needed to be successful in their content classes. Elpa 21 also offers an alternative organization of the standards. You can see standard 1 and 8 are about listening and reading. Standards 3, 4, and 7 are about speaking and writing. And then standards 2, 5, and 6 require all 4 domains. So when you're planning your lessons and there's something you're wanting to focus on, this makes it a little easier to choose those standards. Elpa 21 wants to point out that they have a big emphasis to connecting to content practices, which is important for our English learners because they're in their ELD class for maybe 45 to 60 minutes a day, but then out in content classes all day. So you can see how those 10 standards connect to ELA practices, math practices, and science practices. Elpa 21 offers achievement level descriptors, which we can say are the new can-dos. Our can-dos from our WIDA standards were used by a lot of our content teachers to hone in on what our students can do at their language level. And we can still use that, but they're now called achievement level descriptors, and they're available for every grade. And just to zoom in on the ones here, you can see the difference between level 3 and 4. And level 4 is where students will be exiting. So if we have students at a level 3, we're really trying to teach them at a level 4 to increase their language level to level 4. And I circled there where you can see how it progresses and what the expectation is there. So this can be used in the ESL classroom, but also in content classrooms to give an understanding of a realistic expectation of what our English learners can do at each level. Let's shift from standards to our Elpa 21 dynamic screener. Now, the reason why it's called dynamic is it actually adjusts for the English level of the student, where with our WIDA screener, it was the same for every student. So our newcomers would sit for about an hour doing the screener, working through, not having any language. But now, if you're a newcomer, it will pick up on that, and a newcomer may only have 9 to 10 questions, where another student with more language will have more questions. So I'm really excited, and I think that will be better for our students. The Elpa 21 screener is also digital for all grades, However, teachers can help with navigating the technology. Over and over again, Elpa 21 has said we don't want technology to get in the way. So if you have a younger student who has trouble moving the mouse, you can just move it for them. We're not answering the questions for them, but we can help them navigate the technology. Now, all 4 domains are tested in the screener, even in kindergarten. And I know that's something that we're not used to, but they've said that even the writing is appropriate for what would be expected from a kindergartner. We do have an alternative screener, and there will be more information coming about that as we learn. And then something that's brand new is teachers no longer score the screener. It is done by Elpa 21, so it's done digitally. It's sent to them the same day. They said many times it's returned in the same day, but you can expect up to 3 days. Again, teachers no longer have to score the screener themselves, which is exciting because I hope that gives you some more time back. There's one exception that the teacher does score a speaking question that is embedded within the screener and kind of helps them move on to an appropriate spot. But more to come about that screener. But some of the main things that are changing is that it's going to adjust as the students answer questions based on their language level, and will definitely be a shorter screener for newcomers. Again, it's digital for all grades. All 4 domains are tested. Even in kindergarten, we'll have an alternative screener, and it's going to be scored by Elpa instead of teachers. And again, I hope that gives you some time back. Let's talk about our Elpa 21 summative assessment that will take the place of WIDA Access. They call it pinpoint proficiency because there is a focus on each individual domain, reading, writing, listening, speaking, not the composite score. In the past, we couldn't even get a WIDA score for students that may have missed one of the domains. So they will still report a score for each individual domain, and then we will look at exits by each domain, not a composite score. Exits require a score of 4 or 5 in all domains. And then the score range is a little different. For WIDA, it's 1 to 6, but for Elpa 21, it's 1 to 5, and there are no decimal points. So you have one score, a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And again, the student can exit from ESL when they have a 4 or 5 in all 4 domains. The point of Elpa 21's summative assessment is to measure specific language skills to interact with grade level content. That's the ultimate goal, is that we want our English learners to be successful with grade level content. It will still be the same time of year, that window opening up in February up until spring break, but they've said that the recommended times may be a little shorter than WIDA, so we may be able to get through it a little faster than we usually would WIDA, but there would still be 4 tests over the 4 domains. Now, something brand new, and we'll be talking with our special education team about this as well, but domains, talking again about reading, writing, speaking, and listening, can be exempt and the students still receive a score to exit if the IEP determines that the domain is not accessible to the student due to their disability. For example, the example they gave us is that if a student is deaf, the IEP team can come together and say that the listening domain would not be accessible for a deaf student, so they would not have to be tested in the listening domain. And if that student gets back, of course, listening would not be there, but gets back reading, writing, and speaking in a 4 or a 5, they can exit without that listening domain being tested. Now, we are still waiting on more details about that. The examples that they've given us about who can be exempt from domains have been extreme. They've used blind and deaf. But I want to know about other disabilities and if those can be exempt when determined by the IEP team. So I believe we will have more information as the state kind of forms their definitions for this. Universal features for all students now are repeat item audio and re-record speaking. In the past, those options were only available to students with IEPs and 504s and that had it in their plans. But now, those universal features are available to everyone. So the state is currently working on a full accommodations list, but I'm excited to hear that some of those things will be available for all students. You will probably have more questions after this. This is the information we have at this time. And as the state develops more details with this, I'll be sure to share it. We just mentioned in the previous slide that the domain performance levels are changing from 1 to 6 with WIDA to 1 to 5 with Elpa 21, and they do give a name to each one of those like WIDA did and a definition. I won't read those to you, but I just wanted to make sure you saw those and you can take a look at them. So changing our standards and assessments does create some change within our district, but I don't want you to panic. We're all in this together, and I think you'll find that the changes that are being made are going to be easy to adjust to. Right now, curriculum, as far as our curriculum guides, text guides, unit guides, we are currently updating those to match our new standards. Some of our tasks will be better aligned with Elpa 21 standards, and all of the standards will be on each text and unit guide. You can also plan on attending the Summer Summit, where we will have more in-depth trainings about our curriculum and the changes that are being made. Two of the Summer Summit offerings are Elpa 21 ELP standards, layering language goals throughout the curriculum, and another is amplifying growth with Elpa 21 achievement level descriptors. So be looking for those when the Summer Summit offers out. We'll also talk about curriculum on our August 2nd pool day, but again, I want you to worry. There's not going to be huge significant changes that cause you to have to start fresh with how you've been teaching. course, we are still teaching to the 4 domains of language: reading, writing, speaking. These standards still support that, and we still support this our students in grade level curriculum. Now, I will be a little tricky because we will have 2 tests in and T and Pulse. We will have our screener scores. July 1, we will be screening students with Elpa 21, but all of the returning students will have WIDA access scores. We'll still build goals WIDA access scores this year because that is the information that we have. So we'll have 2 types of scores on our ILPs for this year. We'll have Elpa 21 screeners for new students. Returning students do not need an Elpa 21 screener. They still need WIDA access scores. You'll see some changes with this as far as entry requirements, exit requirements, and services. Those qualifying scores will be different with Elpa scores for the fact that there are no decimal points anymore. You know, we've been a 3.5 would give tailored services, but now there is no 3.5. It's 1, 2, 3, 5. Again, that's something that the State Department is working on, and that's something that they send to us, and we'll update ESL that we follow from them. All ESL teachers complete the 6-hour Elpa 21 workshop. Again, we've created 4 options for that to hopefully give you some flexibility. And that way, when we come back together on August 2nd for our district, we can hit the ground running. And in our next slide, we'll have information about that. This concludes our review of Elpa 21 standards and assessments. I encourage you to go to elpa21.org and you can take a look at the standards and reports that they offer within the standards guide. And QR code to sign off if you're an ESL teacher that you viewed this, and it also has a place for you to list your questions. I may not be able to answer them all because a lot of our supports and the little fine details are being developed by the department, but I will do my best to answer any questions that you have because I know it's on your mind. And anytime there's a change, there's a little uncertainty, I want to put your mind at ease that you will be prepared for this, and we will go through this change together from WIDA 1, and I think we're going to see a lot of good things come out of this. Reminders mentioned earlier, May 21st, each school will come to the Smyrna PD Center from 8 to 3. That get the redelivered training that our 2 districts are receiving the week before. The State Department is rolling late in the school year, so we're trying to get the information to you so that one lead will come May 21st, and then hopefully through an email or a quick meeting with the rest of their ESL team deliver that. And then the summer virtual training choices are there. Again, it's 2 hours on each of the 2 days for a total of 6 hours Elpa 20 virtual workshop. And you can do that from anywhere because it's virtual. You can do it from home. You can do it on vacation, wherever you may be. And we've offered different dates with different times. Hopefully something will work for you, your schedule this summer. You can sign up for those on May 17th. So right now, just look at your schedule and which one you, and when May 17th hits, I'll send you a reminder to sign up. That will fulfill your 6 hours ESL focus credit for this year. Adding a focus credit is very typical. Our math last year, they all had a focus credit because of their, and so we're really just following what all of our other friends are doing. Significant changes like this. So I look forward to hearing your, and thank you for all the hard work you're doing this. Never get enough chances to tell